Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Wednesday in the Rev after a council meeting. And before we get to this, we have a little announcement. Every once in a while, somebody reaches out to us and asks us to uh, give you some information in case you're interested. For all you, I don't like labels, so I would say if you lean conservative, but I always feel that people are conservative about what they have, liberal about what they want, and moderate about what they don't give a shit about. So,
That's it.
because I would say that I am kind of conservative in many areas. I'm fairly liberal with social ideas because I believe people who need help should get help. I don't believe people who don't need help. Oh, so I don't believe in that stuff to pigeonhole people, but I would say this individual is considered by most a conservative. Um, and his name is Vince Ellison. Um, he will be he will be appearing at the East Warren Rod and Gun Club in Warren, Rhode Island, at 24 Long Lane on May 2nd. I believe that's a Thursday. I don't know. From 4 to 8 p.m. I guess he is going to be speaking later on. He has appeared on Newsmax, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity. He's written at least 3 books: The Iron Triangle, Crime Incorporated, and 25 Lies, exposing Democrats' most dangerous, seductive, damnable, destructive lies and how to refute them. So, if you want to listen to an author, a speaker, public speaker, I believe he's doing a swing through New England. I think he's going to, after he goes to Warren, he's going up to Boston and New Hampshire and things like that to give some speeches. Put it in your calendar. I think the event is going to have food and they're going to, things like that. And he's probably going to sell his latest book up there. So if you're interested in listening to this individual, I'm sure it'll be interesting. So it's again, it's on May 2nd, 4 to 8 p.m. I'll be there. I like to listen to people from both sides of the aisle, although I don't listen to much liberal stuff anymore because it's always the same stuff. Uh, they don't really care about the Constitution. So, but with that, let's get to that council meeting. And before we get there, I guess they threw Mary Sahadi under the bus this morning on the radio. I've been told that they're blaming everything on her. She said it was going to be paid by 2030, 2023. That's a lie, Paul. You're the one who said that.
That's right.
Well, before she did.
That's
CJ
right.
and I were in the room at every single meeting when you pushed that debt exclusion. You said, "What are you worried about? It's in 2023. By that time, it'll probably already be paid, and we won't have to throw in anything." But guess what? Now they're on the radio and you're saying, it's not going to get paid by 2030. No way we can pay it even by 2030, which is 7 years after you said it was going to be paid. You're a liar. And you've got a short memory. You have a severe case of not Alzheimer's. You got Paulheimer's. That's what politicians get. They have temporary amnesia all the time.
That's
See,
true.
he's already forgotten. But you can't duck it. We were there. We were there. CJ heard you. Right, CJ?
I was there. I was there with you at several meetings. We didn't miss a meeting at all when it was talked about. And we kept telling people, this is not what he's saying it is. We said it. We weren't against the building of a new school. We were against the financing of it. Just like we're not against a new diamond, we're just against the way Paul wants to finance it. Okay? The school is already being built, so he can't use the excuse, if you don't approve this, the school won't be built. The school's being built. The city's on the hook. The city's on the hook. One way or the other, the city's on the hook. He just didn't like the fact that the city council didn't give him an option. The city council, because back then he wanted to put a Prop 2.5 override on the ballot when this first came before the city council. So the city council votes to deny the people a voice, that's you and me, and to deny the mayor the right to put a debt exclusion on, because Joe Camara said, we've built all these schools in Fall River without a debt exclusion until Durfee came along. What's the problem? We can do it without a debt exclusion, and now we're finding out we can't. Oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. And Jeff said he's like Biden. He lies, but at least he hasn't hit the my uncle got eaten by cannibals yet. Oh, maybe that's coming next. I don't know.
Neither do
But the other part was that audit, or the speaking, talking about the audit. That preface that you told me about. This is a general audit. It's not a forensic audit. We're only going on the information we got from the city. Now we all know that any information you get to the city, any similarity to fact is purely coincidental, because we never get good numbers from the city. And they threw Mary Sahadi under the bus. And we remember when Mary, who actually knew the numbers, fudged them. When she said it was 45 million for the health care and it was really 40 because they were trying to pad the bill. But listen, what they're telling you, people, is they don't want anybody to know. They don't want a full forensic audit. They don't have any idea where the money is, okay? Like they said, they went on the numbers the city gave them. The city can't even get their numbers together. They can't even tell us how much we owe on a debt exclusion.
That's right.
So we're going to trust their numbers. And let me go back. Back in the you remember that, what was the show with the Wayback Machine? Was that the one with the squirrel on it?
That was Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
Yeah. The Wayback Machine. Let's go to the Wayback Machine in 1991 when I filed the arbitration against the city and we got Ernst & Young down there to do a forensic audit. And actually I ran into a guy that was on he was the secretary of the union, an old friend, the other night. Ran into him and we were talking about that arbitration and how the arbitrator said the city's books are in a total state of disarray. They still are. But this is what they fundamentally said at the arbitration. We didn't do an audit. We did a reconciliation. We didn't have the numbers. They had no ability to produce accurate figures. Matter of fact, Ernst & Young called me half an hour after they got the city home and said, you got to come down here. He said, we can't do this. I said, what's the matter? He said, they don't even have any of these records. He said, they want me to sit in the middle of the floor and sift through papers that are in file cabinets and determine what to do. He said, and I'm getting $500 an hour. That was in 91. He said, you got to hire somebody to do this stuff. But they did a full forensic audit and it was staggering, the illegalities they uncovered. But this is what government does. There's no accountability at all. They cover for each other. They get up there and tell you we did an audit, but it's not really an audit. It's an audit, and they accept it. The government accepts it. Of course the government accepts it, because they're covering their own asses. Hey, what the taxpayer don't know doesn't hurt them. Just keep them paying. We can't account for anything. They don't know about anything. That was a disgrace. They sat there in front of a camera, and the first thing they did was make an excuse. How if somebody did a forensic audit and found out everything they put down was bullshit, it's not their fault because they didn't really have. They had to go on the numbers they gave them. That's like asking a murderer for evidence. Oh, by the way, will you turn over the murder weapon? Give me the timeline when you shot the guy. I mean, this is absurd. And with that, CJ, I'll turn it back to you.
You know that I've got a copy of the audit report, by the way, um, which I think is very interesting, and I'm trying to bring it up right now. Let me see. Here it is. Quarter. Here we are. It was Russell. I'm trying to think of it. Russell, Clark, and Associates, certified public accountants. City of Fall River, basic, this is a key, basic financial statements and additional information. He made it clear that it was not a forensic audit. He said very clearly, it is not a forensic audit. He also said that they base their audit on some audits that are provided by other agencies, like the Redevelopment Authority and the Retirement Board, which are probably, those are probably valid um, audits. I don't know about, I don't know if they're going to say that they're not, but I don't trust the city. I don't trust what they have. I can't trust what they have. They've lied so much, I don't know what's the truth anymore. And they lied to the city council, and the city council buys that. Oh, and by the way, for last night's meeting, Laura Sampson, Washington, whatever her name is, wasn't there because she had a prior commitment. Guess what? You know your schedule. You're paid to do this job. Don't schedule things on the date that you have a city council meeting or a city council subcommittee. If you can't be there, resign. I have the same problem when Linda takes her vacations. You know when your meeting is, you're getting paid to be there, be there. It's not fair to the people. It is not fair to the people. They voted you in and they are paying your salary. If you can't be there, resign. And Linda said something at the subcommittee meeting yesterday. She says, maybe I've been doing this job for too long. Maybe you have, Linda. Maybe you have. Maybe you have. But I'll tell you now, it doesn't work that way.
No, you're right, CJ. And but George Rogers says actually going to be put on a ballot. Yeah, it should be put on a ballot. We should vote no. You know, shoot them down in flames because this is absurd. You can't run your household that way. We don't get to just urinate money into a hole all the time and just tax them more, increase their water, increase their fees, increase their excise taxes, increase their property taxes. They lose their house tough. This is the problem. We're seeing it on a national level. We talked about, you know, the country's a disaster. I saw something the other day. They were talking about cars. He said the interest rates. They were talking to some dealer. Said they can't sell the cars, new cars. The used cars are up like 20%, and new cars are up like 30%, and the interest rate on the used cars like 11%.
You're muted, Chip.
They had a whole fleet. They had a whole fleet of Mustang electrics there, but they talked about interest rates on used cars 11.9% in some areas. Look, credit card rates are around 30%, and people are maxing out their credit cards at a record pace, never seen before. People are losing their houses all over the country, and these clowns in government, these Democrats, who all they know how to do is throw money at things and then tax you. It's not their money they're throwing around. It's your money. And then we get something like this. Oh, we're going to do an audit. Everybody feel good about this audit. But by the way, And the retirement board audit is dead accurate because it's reviewed by not only our director who used to work at PERAC, but also PERAC, and our budget is scrutinized by the board and by PERAC, and everything we do is subject to scrutiny. Unlike the city that doesn't know what the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. I mean, then they're like schizophrenic. Yeah, we can't borrow any money till 2033, but we're going to continue to keep spending money. Can you do that? Yeah, I mean, nobody can do what these people do in government, what they're doing to you, which is raping and pillaging, especially this city. We went over the numbers and how per capita income's 30,000, the average in the state's 87. It's like 1/3 of the, almost nearly 1/3 of the state average. And they think we can pay Boston prices. Oh no, we're going to bring everybody from Boston down here. I mean, these people are delusionary. Again, it showed what an absolute three-ring circus. And let me make something perfectly clear. You will notice that cities and towns hire only specific companies. Those companies are all pro-government, pro-city. They're just like when you have a study done. You're paying for the study. Invariably, the study will come out exactly the way you want it to come out because you're paying the bill. Law firms, you actually can go up and look them up. I used to have to do that. When we went to an arbitration, we used to vet all the arbitrators because we had to pick 3, they had to pick 3, and then ultimately, the JLMC would weigh them, and then they would pick the arbitrator that we got, like it should have been done for the 5th member when you can't agree. But we used to look at the arbitrators who had a history of ruling fairly and with labor. And then there were arbitrators that ruled predominantly for cities. It's the same thing with these auditing companies and law firms. The law firms that cities use are normally certified by the Mass Municipal Associations. So get these guys, they'll make sure they're working for you, not the taxpayer. So when you see a company up there and they get hired and they're taking government money, they're normally not pro-taxpayer. With that, CJ, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, it's interesting. George brought up an interesting statement, which I want to address. He said, let me see, where is it? Are they going to put, I'll put it right here. Are they going to put the tax increase on the ballot? The mayor needs to get the city council to approve the Prop 2.5 override on the ballot. The mayor said at the joint meeting that he has until November. So they're not rushing to put it on the ballot. They're not rushing to get approval to put it on the ballot. The reason for that is he needs to get the propaganda machine running. He needs to get it running so that he can spew his lies to get the Prop 2.5 passed. We saw that he doesn't need it yet, but already the fire department's having staffing issues and equipment issues. We see this. And he's going to use that. If you don't vote for this, we are going to cut police and fire. You'll notice he doesn't say he's not going to cut his friends. He's not going to cut all his new hires. He's not going to reduce the salaries of the people he gave $19,000 pay raises to. That's where proper government comes in. You make smaller government. You do more with less. In Fall River, we do less with more. Why? Because you're an ATM machine. And that ATM machine never, ever, ever runs out. You know why? Because if it runs out, we take your house. If it runs out, we shut off your water. If it runs out, we get you out of the city. We take you to court. We charge you outrageous interest. That's what we do when you don't pay your bills because the ATM has dried up. We're not the federal government. We can't keep printing money. I get very pissed off with the federal government because I mean, look at what they just did. Almost $90 million, or was $90 million, or billion dollars, B with a B, billion, for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan. We're paying for other people's wars, and we can't house our veterans. We can't take care of the homegrown issues because we're spending all that money overseas. We need a president that comes in and says it's over and done with. No more aid to foreign countries. It's got to stop somewhere. Israel has only been a country, what, since the 1940s. And I know people say they're the chosen people of God, and that's fine. But we're not obliged to defend them. We're not obliged to support them when they're committing genocide. I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm not pro-Palestine. I'm just stating a fact. They're not even feeding people. They're restricting aid, humanitarian aid, to get to the people who need it. Food. Food. Not weapons. Food. And this is what we do in Fall River. Oh, well, Mike Dion said that, we told Timeo that we're not going to feed them, fund them. We funded them until December. And then the city used ARPA money to fund until March. We don't have no more money to give them, I guess. I don't know. It's very interesting to see. But for what it would have cost to run the Timeo Center, they're spending every day on hotel rooms for illegals. Every day. Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable.
Well, let me just interject here about this thing. Number one, Israel is quite capable of taking care of itself, and they did, and they will. And as far as genocide is concerned, there was a genocide attempted at them. So, unfortunately, you can't. That's an area where you've got the Palestinians. Well, not all the Palestinians. The Palestinians and Hamas want to eliminate all the Jews. So, unfortunately, that's human nature. So, somebody's going to eliminate somebody in order to ever have peace. That's why they'll never have peace in the Middle East, because you can't eliminate anybody. But the Jewish state is quite capable of taking care of themselves. They learned their lesson.
You're muted, Chip.
Mutes itself. You get near this computer. I said, the Jewish state is quite capable of taking care of itself. They learned from World War II. They will never let themselves be herded into camps again. They would rather die fighting. So there'll never be peace in the Middle East because you can't eliminate everybody. And the fact is that the radical Muslims believe that they want to wipe out everybody that isn't a Muslim, even the other Muslims that aren't Shiites. So that's just something that's way too complex. But I'm going to tell you something about Ukraine. We shouldn't be giving a dime to Ukraine, ever. And we're still giving them billions. Why? Because, I don't know, people must have some pretty good interests over there. Or they got a lot on them. We are not supporting a war in the Ukraine. We're paying their damn retirement. We're paying their salaries. That's what they're doing with our money, and there's literally billions, tens of billions of dollars unaccounted for that has been sent over there already. And what's the answer? Send more. As we have people on the street that are homeless, that need care. They actually need to be housed and taken care of, because most of the people who are homeless have mental issues, drug issues, mental issues. And for some reason, the United States has decided not to treat that anymore. Just let them go live out in the street, which is horrible. And we have veterans suffering from PSD and other issues out on the streets. But we've got illegals that we're paying $400 a night for a hotel room and giving them debit cards. You know, this is obviously a situation about what kind of America do you want? Because this isn't America now, it's like a third world country. We got people rioting the streets from the river to the sea. They're chanting for the genocide of Israel. They don't know what river, what sea, but they're chanting it. Death to America, death to Israel. So, what is Israel going to do? I don't know. I'm pretty familiar with that culture. That's an untenable situation because radical Muslims want to kill everybody but Muslims, and the Jews are the first one on their hit parade. But after they get done with the Jews, it'll be the Christians. And remember what Nehemiah said about the Holocaust. You know, they came for the Christians, and I said, they came for the Catholics. I said nothing because I wasn't a Catholic. They came for the trade unionists, and I said nothing because I wasn't a trade unionist. They came for the Jews, and I said nothing because I wasn't a Jew. And when they came for me, there was no one left to speak. That's the problem. You know, America gives money to everybody but Americans now. And it's because of our government. Our government has prioritized everybody but Americans. And if you like that government, vote for it. But we have an election coming in November where you have a choice. Can we elect someone who will put America first? Or do we want to keep the man who puts America last in office? And I don't care if you like the guy personally. I don't give a damn. You have to look at the record. They both got records. When he was in, virtually no inflation. The border was closed. There were no wars. Now what happens? Isn't it ironic again? They had the riots, Antifa riots, just before the election when they wanted to bounce them. Now all of a sudden we got the Hamas riots. To divert attention away from the border, that they're still streaming in by the tens of thousands. From the fentanyl issue, from the economy, where people, over 60% of the people are living paycheck to paycheck. Record credit card debt forfeitures. Beginning to foreclose on houses. The economy's in the toilet. But they don't care. Shut up. Pay your taxes or go live in the street. So this is extremely complicated. We have probably the most important election in our lifetime. Because the United States is on its way to being totally destroyed. We have nearly 50,000 military-aged Chinese illegals in this country. What do you think they're here for? You can say somebody comes up from Guatemala to try to make some money, but the Chinese are coming in with their luggage, all dressed up. Nobody gets out of China without permission. Those people are being planted in the United States. They've already found a few of them wandering around military bases, This country is on its way to destruction. And if you don't believe that, I guess you agree with being eaten by cannibals. So with that back to you.
Well, what was interesting was I was watching NBC, and they did a piece on the immigrants from China. They paid $10,000 for a coyote, which is a guy to help them come into the country. $10,000 a head to come into the country, and once they get here, they leave them alone. But they were asked, why did they come here? Well, there's no jobs in China, and I need to make money. What do? I'm an electrical engineer. I'm a computer programmer. I mean, an electrical engineer, you can't find a job? This tells you what's happening in this country. I was looking at Taunton. I've been following Taunton. I've been following New Bedford. Been looking at the issues that's going on there. And one of the things that got me was the fact that they had a standout, I guess yesterday or the day before, to protect Morton Hospital. They want to keep their hospital. I don't blame them. Okay? Because without Morton Hospital, they got 20, 30 miles to go for the nearest hospital. That's going to result in increased death. That's going to result in apparatus being pulled out of service. That's going to put people in danger if you close that hospital. So the state needs to do something about that. It's the same thing here in Fall River. If they close St. Anne's Hospital, that's going to result in miles and miles and miles of lines at Charlton Memorial. If they allow Charlton Memorial to acquire St. Anne's Hospital, we're going to have a reduction in services at St. Anne's Hospital because Charlton doesn't want to lose them. And we're going to lose tax dollars, which we may lose anyhow, which the city isn't prepared for yet. We have so many financial issues coming down the pipe, and there's no plan. There's no plan. We need a plan to protect our people. We need a plan to protect our government. We need a plan to protect our retirement system, to protect our jobs. You know, we're going around saying we're building all these houses, 102 new houses on Hartwell Street, 102 new apartments, I mean. That's wonderful. How about jobs? When are we going to create jobs? 2,000 units online, coming online for market rate housing. Where's 2,000 jobs? Fall River needs jobs because when people have jobs, they spend money. When people spend money, the economy gets better. When people don't have jobs, they can't spend money. When they're defaulting on their credit cards and their mortgages, they're not in a good financial situation. When the city raises your taxes $2,000, you're not in a good financial situation. When they raise your water bill $100, you're not in a good financial situation. And why are we at this point? Because our city, more importantly, our dictator, has spent money like a drunken sailor. $88 million in ARPA money, which was supposed to be spent on infrastructure. Infrastructure, not salaries. And he's trying to justify it with, well, it's lost revenue. We didn't lose no $88 million in lost revenue. You're not going to tell me that. I'm not going to buy it. You wanted to spend your money like a drunken sailor, and you did just that. And that's what we get in Fall River. Drunken sailors.
Yeah, you're right, CJ. But let me just say, to get back to one of the other points about paying attention. These things are all, these dog and pony shows we see at the council and calling the auditor up to make these. Listen to what they say. Oh, we're using their numbers. It's all hyperbole. It's propaganda. We listen to the radio. You got the radio propaganda. They controlled the minds of people. Listen, how many of the mainstream media have covered the director of the FBI going up numerous times in the past 2 or 3 months saying, we have the most critical, this is the most critical time he has ever seen for the potential of a terrorist activity in the United States. He talked about the Chinese. He talked about the Iranians they're letting in, the Afghans they're letting in. We probably have Al Qaeda here. Nobody knows what we got, but they want to deflect you. All they're going to cover are the protests again. They're going to pull what they did with Antifa. Then everybody forgets about the border. Everybody forgets about the threat to the United States while the United States disintegrates before your very eyes. And that's the con. You know, it's three-card Willie in the fast shuffle. Oh, don't look at that. Don't look at that tree. Oh, look at this tree. Oh, don't look at what's behind the curtain. Just listen to what we tell you. You know, like I said, they tell you that they can't spend any money, but they keep spending money. Just don't pay attention. And the only way we can fix this is at the ballot box. And in this state, I don't know if it's even possible. That's why 1,100 people a month are leaving Massachusetts. They're sick and tired of it. They're going to states where there is accountability, where there are no taxes. How can states have no taxes? And this is Taxachusetts. You notice that it's a condition that's exclusive to blue states? You look at cities that are run by Democrats, they're always broke. South Dakota, no taxes. You can go to South Dakota, get an apprentice job, making $60,000 a year to learn a trade. They're building more homes than anywhere else. Yeah, granted, you got to like some cold because it gets pretty cold in South Dakota in the winter. But there are other states like Tennessee they're going to, and the Carolinas, and Florida, and Texas, and everywhere. And all those things have one thing in common. People are getting money put back in their pockets, not taken out of their pockets. So the moral of that story is, you create the government, and if you don't get these people out, you're getting what you deserve. And people who can't leave are victimized. With that, CJ, back to you.
You know, it's always interesting when we can compare Fall River to the national political status. And you're right. Fall River has never met a dime it can't steal under the guise of taxes. And basically, Massachusetts is a socialist state because the Democrats want to keep it that way. You have a House and a Senate that is controlled by the Democrats. They have what, 12 Republican representatives in the state house? I mean, it's ridiculous. Fall River doesn't even have a viable Republican city committee. You don't have Republican committees in every single ward because apathy has taken over Fall River. And until the people rise up and take control of their city, take control of their government, take control of their spending, it's not going to happen. And remember, we have an ordinance which says you cannot spend more than $5 million without a voter approval. But this mayor has done it. This mayor has done it. We need to have accountability, and accountability has got to come from somewhere. And obviously, it doesn't come from the sixth floor. People need to be ready, willing, and able to fight back.
Remember, we had an ordinance against picking up private trash, but that didn't help. But let me just say this, CJ, before we, you know, before we close. Um, we talk about this, but the largest growing party is the undeclared party
That's right.
throughout the country. People are sick and tired of both parties.
They're tired of labels.
They're tired of the labels because, as I said, I don't believe people are liberal or conservative. They're conservative about their gut. I don't want to give up anything I got, but I'm sure as hell liberal. You want to give me money? I'm a liberal. Come on,
That's it. I'll take it.
Throw it at me, baby.
That's it.
I'm in. I'm in. Give me some money. And that's everybody. It's human nature.
That's right.
But I know that one of our friends, person that we know well, is in the, I guess, early stages of forming a organization of independent voters, of unenrolled voters.
Unenrolled voters. That's right.
And I mean, independent, unenrolled. Here we go with the labels again. In other words, people that know that both of these parties are full of shit. This two-party system is broken, and that I think could be a really, really amazing. The no labels party, exactly. Basically, yeah, I think that's a great idea, and it's not just Fall River. That could make a dramatic impact in Fall River elections, but all over the country, because look at how petrified they are of Robert Kennedy.
I know.
I mean, they are in hysterics over him. They're not doing it as obviously as they're doing it to Trump, but they're trying. The Democratic Party has a battery of lawyers trying to keep him off the ballot, and now he's on the Michigan ballot, and they're having an absolute fit.
Right.
They're having an absolute fit because he's on the Michigan ballot.
And you know what the sad thing was? His own family came out against him running. His own family. The Democrats' poster children, the Kennedys, and they came out against him running. No support. That was a shame. That was an absolute shame. And I think Robert Kennedy's got his head together. I think that he's got some good ideas. And I think that he could do a good job. But again, because he doesn't have that D after his name, we're going to get him off the ballot. It is what it is. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Friday. Get out there and raise hell.